Grok AI is under fire once again, and this time the IT ministry has issued a notice to X seeking an action report within 72 hours. Now, the centre's crackdown comes after allegations of misuse of Grok AI came to the fore. The ministry expressed grave concern over reports that X's AI service Grok is being misused to create and share obscene, indecent, and sexually explicit content targeting women. Now, Rajya Sabha MP Priyanka Chaturvedi has also demanded the centre's intervention to ensure safeguards are built into AI apps of X for the sake of women's safety. We take this forward today with our guests this evening, Khushbu Jain, who is an advocate for the Supreme Court and managing partner at ARC Legal, and cyber expert Ritesh Bhatia. Hello Ritesh, I'll start with you. This is not the first time that Grok has come under fire for generating obscene content. The IT ministry has issued a notice, as we said, to X over obscene and sexually explicit content on Grok. How strong a signal does this send to tech platforms, and what happens if they fail to comply?
Okay, so thanks, Gargi, for having me over here. What happens when they fail to comply? I think Khushbu is the best person as a lawyer. But yeah, you are absolutely right. For the first part of it is that, this is just not the first time. In fact, whenever we are talking about even child sexual abuse material, we are talking about pornography also. That has been there on Twitter, which is now X, since years and years. And unfortunately, we fail to see why they haven't done anything, because to me it looks like they just don't have the intent. Because these guys want more and more user base, more and more interaction, and more data. I think they're allowing all these kind of things also today, just on Twitter. And just look at the Grok kind of thing. See, as far as your other platforms are concerned, you have to have it as an app over there, or a special sign, or a different login over there. But here, what happens, the moment you are on X, you just tell Grok, okay, listen, at the rate Grok, please, just convert this particular picture and put it with bikini and all. And there is what you're getting. And I could also see, after this stern action, because your question was how seriously, will this actually send a message? I don't think so. It has sent the message. Because yesterday, for a brief period of time, I saw that Grok had disabled the media part, which means when you would go onto the media tab over there, you were not able to see any of those images. To my surprise, just few minutes back when I checked it, I'm able to see all those same images which it had converted, or rather I would say, which it had kind of altered in such a fashion. So it is not looking like, that Elon Musk and this particular company, X, is really taking this thing very, very seriously. And I stand in solidarity with Priyanka Chaturvedi. This really needs an urgent attention. Otherwise, this is just getting viral minute by minute. Gargi.
Right, Khushbu, I'll just get you on that. The new proposed draft IT rules, they are much more comprehensive in nature. So do you think these are enough to tackle such obscene content?
If you look into it, yes, they are enough to tackle such obscene content, because they are making sure the responsibility is on the platform. Also, if you look into it, they say that the platform can enjoy a safe harbor protection until and unless they comply with the laws of the nation. And laws of the nation are very clear when it comes to such explicit content without permission, or including minors pictures in such obscene images. These are all punishable offenses or recognized offenses in the country. Now, when in the IT rules, they don't comply with it, or they don't abide with it, they don't generate a report. If you look into the notice issued by the ministry to Grok is about that, within 72 hours, they have to furnish the report. If they don't furnish the report, or they don't comply with it, is where they will lose their safe harbor protection. Now, safe harbor protection under Section 72 of the IT Act is where they are also party to the crime. That means they are facilitating in the crime, and they can also be put in the name of, their name can also be part of an FIR. This is something which is a strong move. And I think 2021 rules and the amendments that keep coming after that, and the latest amendment where AI generated content has to be completely labeled and 10% has to be come across, which is a draft rule. I think we are going in a right direction when it comes to law. But when it comes to implementation, I think much has to be done, because when you talk about internet, much is already done till the time we question these platforms or we question the technology, and the damage is already done. So I think when it comes to implementation is where we have to focus a little more. But when it comes to law part, yes, we are catching up with the law, and it's not just us. Even France or other countries have also issued the same notices to Grok that there are explicit pictures of minors which are being produced via Grok, which is a very sensitive issue. And it's been alarmed nationwide that some guardrails have to be very strictly been complied, or has to be adopted by these technology facilitators. And I think that's where we are standing today, Gagi.
Ritesh, like Khushbu pointed out that now the onus sort of seems to be on everybody, but it's not just Grok. AI in general has repeatedly come under fire for generating obscene images, like she mentioned, whether it's of minors or women. What kind of filters or checks should platforms in this case like Grok have to prevent such content from being circulated?
Yeah, I think, Gargi, what is very important is, the first and the most important person they need to have is the AI ethics officer. They need to have a department of AI governance, which I'm sure these guys are having as such, but nobody is they don't just allow them to voice out, because otherwise, things will not work. Because we are also seeing there's more of misuse, being a cybercrime investigator, I know that there is more of misuse of AI than the use of AI. And that's the reason I feel the most important layer would be this AI governance officer or the AI ethics officer. Just imagine, I mean, at the end of the day, this is like a coded platform, right? It is an artificial intelligence, but at the end of the day, it's coded. So if it is able to undress women and minors, or create any such kind of images as such, it is the people behind it who have done it. So what happens over here? So where are the ethics of the company? Where is the AI ethics officer? What are the action that you're taking against the developer? Of course, the developer himself has not done this. They would have decided that, yes, we can go ahead with this. So this is nothing but deep news, which have been of a very, very serious concern. And it's unfortunate that they are not looking into it. So deep news is something it had stopped for a while. I would say for 6 to 9 months. Many websites were also brought down. But now again, if you see, it's just not Grok. Many other platforms are enabling a lot many cyber crimes, including deep news and deep fake videos also, deep fake pornographic videos also. So I think the onus is purely 100% on the intermediary as such, as to what do they, how they want their AI platform to be shaped. Gargi.
Khushbu, he touched upon the ethics of this whole debate, but I just wanted to say that Grok is, like Priyanka Chaturvedi pointed out, Grok is encouraging such obscene content creation. Even if a user is asking to generate problematic content, shouldn't Grok deny? And in this case, who should be held accountable? The developer, the platform, or the user? Where are the ethics of this?
Okay, I'm absolutely in with you on this, because what happens is these platforms practically do not look into safety or security of citizen, or betterment of citizen. All their motive is business. And when it comes to business, they want to amplify things which can bring in more users, or which can hook people. So they practically want to amplify such things. And when I'm saying amplifying it, that means it wants to provide such things so that more user base comes over there, or there are more footfall into it. And we have seen that in the past, not just with the AI, that how platforms are being amplifying the content which are not even there, or which can be ignored. But there has been reports of serious involvement of amplification. I mean, it's absolutely that one has to look into their business part. But here we're talking about something very serious, which is involving women, or decency of women, or when you're talking about children, that's a serious issue, because these kind of issues are something which can, apart from being punishable offense, these are the issues that even despite punishment, this can have a very long lasting negative psychological impact on the person who is being utilized for this, or who has looked into this, or if that person's image has been utilized, or even for that matter, if not utilized, if that's the content that people are going to watch, and if it's not age barrier, that's kind of impact they would have it. So in all these things, we have seen that how platform has to look into its own business aspect not when it comes to betterment of the society. And that's where I think the government comes in play, talking about that when it comes to safety, security of its citizen, and also the future, that is the children, they have to come in between, and they have to enact and implement laws in that area. And I think that's where India, not just India but all other countries across globe, are thinking about that, and also regulating this entire space, making these platforms liable, because at last they are earning out of it, not that they are not earning out of it. So despite having knowledge, if they're continuing to provide such kind of content, then they're practically part and parcel of this entire process. And that's where they're saying that either you have implement strong guardrails, number one. Number two, if you get the knowledge, make sure that the content is out. Number two. Number three, that even after that you fail to comply with it, you continue, that's where your safe harbor protection will be taken away, and you're part of the crime, and you should be punished as any other person who's part of the crime is punished in the country. I think that's what the country, that's what our government is trying to put across, and I think that's what we should aim for as well. Gargi.
Khushbu, but it just brings me back to like the same question of the scale of it is so large, and it's not just AI generated images, it's often real images like Ritesh mentioned that are deep faked or morphed. So how do you like, the scale of this is so large, there are so many cases, how do you know who's responsible and how do you get them all to justice?
I think that's where the new IT rules, the draft rules which are still pending, those draft rules are talking about that any content which is AI generated, which is synthetic generated content, has to have a compulsion of 10% of that portion to be visible, that this is AI generated content. Now, even if that content is for, let's say, good purpose, I'm creating some documentary, I'm creating some advertisement, I'm creating something which is not for negative aspect of it, but positive. Still, that has to have that element of 10% of that portion to be visible, that this is AI generated content. Number one, even when it comes to video or audio, the 10% of that also has to have a visibility of it. Now, the responsibility of this is lying with the platform. If platform fails and there is an AI generated content without this 10% portion of it, then platform will be held liable. So I think that's where they're talking about that you have a technology to know. Now you implement that technology part of it and make sure that it is utilized for the betterment of it. So I think I'm waiting for those rules to come in, the draft rules to come in, and create a lot of betterment, because you're rightly saying, when a picture of your or mine has been put across, even when after 10 days, 5 days, justice comes across that this was a deep fake, the damage is done. There would be billions or millions of people who would already seen, and their mindset would be made out of it. Imagine the same thing, these kind of deep fakes when it comes to politics, when it comes to a journalist like you speaking something, or when it comes to any influencer speaking or a politician speaking, this can create an havoc. And I think that's where we are bringing in that real time. Anything that gets uploaded has to have that 10% portion of it. Without that, if it is uploaded, the liability is of the social media platform or the technology platform.
Right. Ritesh, just to end the discussion with you, AI is advancing at such a rapid rate. Almost everyone is using it for some purpose or another. You're either creating pictures for your family, or in this case, it's being used for a harmful reason. How can companies sort of balance this extremely rapid AI development with strong safeguards? Like, what is the real balance here, and how do you strike it?
Oh, well, the real balance, I would say, is, and even if you want to strike it, there is just one thing that's required, which is the intent. And Khushbu has already told you that their intent is business. Their intent is not safety. Their intent is not security. So these guys have no intent as such. Now, you just compare this particular thing with, let's say, another platform, like, the chat GPT as such. Now, you try asking him certain questions related to a malware and all. It will completely discourage you over there. But here, in terms of Grok, if you see that, what is happening over here, not only it is undressing that particular person's image, but it is just making it public. You had a question earlier that who will be held responsible? Will it be the user? Will it be the platform? As I told you earlier also, of course, 100% it is the platform. But now, to deter the users, at least what needs to be done is that, number one, whenever somebody is asking this to Grok also, right, Grok, even if he wants to do it, at least put them, just DM them. You are just not making it public. Like, I'm seeing images of so many children across the world. They're not even from India. And now I am having access to them. All the users are having access to it. So this is something that's very, very dangerous. So now, if you still want to do it, at least, just DM it. Now, the second thing is, whichever user has asked, the government at least can do one thing. If these are identified, of course, it's going to be a little difficult, but if they have the intent, if these are the Indian users who have asked for undressing any child or any woman, then, we need to take action against these people also. So that one, definitely take action against the platform. There is like no looking back at it. But again, also take action against these users who are like, asking for something like this. Gargi.
Khushbu, just really quick, I want to understand, what do you think the timeline for this is going to look like? How soon do you think we can start to see real change? Because right now, sure, there is legislation and there's codes in place, but how soon can we actually start seeing some positive change in this department?
See, the thing is, Gargi, every day new law is coming up, new technology is coming up. What we see, the 2021 rules, the scenario was very different than what we have today. Then 2023 amendments that came in, then the suggestions that are coming, which is as draft rules, which I was talking about, is something trying to catch up. So if you see, last 5 years, the technology has evolved at a pace that we can't even imagine, and the kind of misuse of this technology and the way we are seeing that how people are dependent on the technology and how they are now in the hands of the technology and how criminals are misusing it is something I think is where we are thinking that is where we are lacking that implementation when it comes to, it's not just the law. The implementation has to be when it comes to you have a technology enabled implementations to catch up with these criminals, to catch up with this technology enabled crimes. I think that's something which has to have a focus as on yesterday, if I have to put across. And we have to look into this on a real-time basis and 2 steps ahead than the criminals, that if a technology is coming or if it's been launched in your jurisdiction, to have at least 5 questions answered over there, that what can be the misuse or repercussions utilizing this technology can come up. Let's say a technology which can, create these kind of pictures, but then again, if it can undress somebody, it can undress a child, then have those guardrails implemented before the technology being launched. I think that's something which is basic, which I think we need to implement it as early as possible. And with the same time, I think strict punishments, which we have not done it yet, is something which is a requirement to act to provide this as a deterrent to all the developers, to technology platforms, to social media platforms, and also including the people who wanting to be creating such kind of things. I think we have to have some level of punishments that can be imposed so that it can act as an example, which will be acting as a deterrent among the people and the media platform to take India seriously rather than taking them very lightly.
Right. Khushbu, Ritesh, thank you so much for joining us on this chat and for sharing your insights.